Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crime Family. I'm AJ, and I'm here with my two sisters and co hosts, Lisa and Katie. And this episode, the day that we are releasing it, it is Christmas Eve. So we want to first start off by wishing everyone listening and watching a very happy holiday season. And so for today's case, we are going to be exploring one of America's most perplexing unsolved mysteries, and it is one that has haunted a single family and puzzled the world for 8 decades now. It took place on Christmas Eve of 1945. By many, it is still considered an unsolved case, even though technically it was officially closed, but there's still a lot of questions and mysteries involved. So, this is the disappearance of the Sodder children. And it's a case that's tied to a mysterious house fire that occurred on Christmas Eve and into the early morning hours of Christmas morning in 1945. And so on the day that this episode is being released, December 24th of 2025, that means it's been exactly 80 years to the day since this case took place. So without further ado, I'll get into it. So George Sodder, he was born Giorgio Soddu in Italy, immigrated to the United States in 1908. He eventually settled in Fayetteville, West Virginia, where he met Jenny, another Italian immigrant. Together, they built a life together and a successful trucking business, and they raised 10 children. There were a few different sources that said that George was very quiet about why he left Italy. He would often avoid the topic entirely, and he would never really give anyone a clue about his reasonings. He would kind of like change the subject when it came up, and he was just kind of like dodgy about the subject in general, which is a little bit odd. So the Sodders were known as hardworking and close knit, but their family life wasn't without its tensions because George was very outspoken in his criticism of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. And this led to conflicts within the Italian immigrant community where they lived. So, he was quiet about why he left Italy, but very outspoken about Mussolini, who was a dictator in Italy. And I thought when I was doing research, I was like, well, maybe that's why he left because he hated that. But Mussolini didn't get in power until after he had already left Italy. So there was another reason that he left Italy, I'm presuming. Don't really know what the reasoning is. But anyway, so on December 24th, 1945, the Sodder family gathered at their home in Fayetteville, West Virginia to celebrate Christmas Eve. At around 10 p.m., Jenny sent the younger children to bed while some of the older kids stayed up a little bit later to, play with toys or enjoy the festivities. At the time they went to bed, there were 11 people inside the home. So there was George and Jenny, and 9 of their 10 children were home. One of their oldest children was not home at the time as he was enrolled in the military. So there was only 9 of them that were there at the time. So before going to bed, 2 sons, Maurice and Louis, they were asked to go outside and feed the animals. And so late that night, the 2 boys went outside into the cold for this uneventful chore. So Jenny kind of said, before you go to bed, feed the animals. And then she kind of went in for the night. So shortly after midnight, Jenny was awakened by a strange phone call. A woman's voice asked for someone that Jenny didn't know. She noticed that there was strange laughter and the sound of clinking glasses in the background. Eventually, Jenny hung up the phone. She dismissed it as just like a prank or a wrong number. So after the phone call, Jenny noticed several unusual things. So Jenny had to get up out of bed and like out of her room to answer the phone because they didn't have a phone right by the bed. So she got up, she went to like a room down the hall. And so after she hung up the phone, she noticed that the lights were still on downstairs, the curtains were open, and the front door was unlocked. The house was really quiet, so she kind of just presumed that everyone was at home, like asleep in their rooms, except for her daughter Marion, who she noticed had fallen asleep on the living room couch. So she locks the door, she closed the curtains, and she goes back to bed. Soon after that, she's awakened again by a loud bang on the roof, followed by a rolling sound. So it's as if something like had hit the roof and then had rolled off. So that kind of startled her, but didn't really think too much of it.
Santa. Poor
Yeah,
Santa. Crash landing.
yeah. I know. I was thinking.
I was just going to say
doing
that.
this
I'm like,
too.
oh, Santa. Santa had an
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah. Um, uh, yeah. So maybe it was Christmas miracle, Christmas magic. Yeah. So anyway, she didn't really think too much of it. and kind of just brushed it off, went back to sleep. And then shortly after that, around 1:30 a.m., Jenny woke again to the smell of smoke and she realized that the house was on fire. So she and George, along with four of their children, escaped the house. So there was Sylvia, the youngest child. She was age 2. Marion was age 17. John, age 23. And George Jr., age 16. But there were five other children: Maurice, aged 14. Martha, age 12. Louis, age 9. Jenny, aged 8. And Betty, aged 5, who were still trapped upstairs. So after Jenny and George get out with four of the kids, George tries desperately to save the other five kids. So he breaks a window in an attempt to re enter the house. He ends up cutting his forearm quite badly on the glass. Then he thinks that he could use a ladder, that he could go up and access the second floor bedroom by climbing the ladder. So, however, the ladder, when he went to go get it, it's always easily accessible. It's propped up against the house always, but he noticed that it was missing. He then attempts to start his two big coal trucks, and his plan, I guess, was to drive them like closer to the house so he could stand on top of them and get higher and get access to the windows upstairs. But when he goes to start the car, neither one would start. So, and he, they had worked normally or perfectly the day before. So he found that that was weird. And then he tried scooping water from some large buckets that were near the house, but the water inside was frozen solid. So it was kind of just like frantically going around trying to find the ladder or, start his cars, get this water. And it's kind of chaotic scene. With the fire raging, there wasn't really anything more that they could do. The house burned to the ground. And a lot of sources say it burned to the ground in about 45 minutes. However, there is one source, according to the Smithsonian Magazine, says, quote, Stacey Horn, who's an author who covered the case for NPR, said that the widely cited estimate of the flames burning for 45 minutes is misleading. In truth, she said the inferno burned all night long and into the next morning. When the fire department did finally appear, it was still hot and they had to water the site down before conducting their search, end quote. A lot of sources do say it was 45 minutes is all it took, but that the NPR, Smithsonian Magazine, and others do also say that actually burned quite longer than that. So I don't know why that would be such a discrepancy. That's kind of weird, but regardless, the result was the same. The house had burned completely to the
Like
ground.
like, could it took 45 minutes for the house to burn down, but it was still smoking and stuff for maybe,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
a
Yeah, like
day,
45
so,
minutes, house collapsed, it was,
like,
like, down, but
yeah,
the pile of stuff was still burning probably.
like, it was still, like, it was still on fire for, like,
Mhm.
a day or so or whatever, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. During the fire, so Marion, one of the oldest children, she runs to a neighbor's house to call the fire department, but there's no answer. Then a different neighbor also reportedly tries calling, but again, there's no answer. So that neighbor takes it upon themselves to just drive a few miles into town and actually tells Fire Chief FJ Morgan themselves. So in person, they go and say, "So there's a fire, you need to get down there." And despite just being over 2 miles from the fire, the firefighters don't arrive until nearly 8 a.m. So the fire started at 1:30 and they don't get there till 7.5 hours later, or 6.5 hours later, which is pretty crazy.
Why? Was this normal for back then? Just, like, n not urgent.
Yeah, well, so the next part I go into says that. So NPR reports that retired Fire Chief Steve Cruikshank explains the delay by saying that the department, quote, didn't even have a siren back then. When somebody called to report an incident, an operator would take the call and rouse a firefighter who would then have to reach fellow firefighters one by one, end quote. Other reasons were cited were that it was a holiday, it was a very small fire station that was understaffed, underfunded, and just generally they were slower to respond in general. But then the fact that it was a holiday, and then this old system where they just had to like do this telephone game of like having to call each firefighter independently. Still feel like that wouldn't take 6.5 hours, but anyway, there's not really any like explanation that would make it okay. But that's what this retired fire chief had said. So, regardless of the reason, they don't get there till 8 a.m. So, when the ashes cooled, no remains of the five children were found inside the rubble. Fire Chief FJ Morgan suggested that the blaze was hot enough to completely cremate the bodies. The day of the fire, there was a cursory search of the property that was conducted. But again, in the Smithsonian Magazine, it's noted that, quote, 2 hours is not even close to a thorough search. Today, the search for remains would take days and possibly weeks, end quote. But, they were just there. did the cursory search, but it was a very short one. And then in just a matter of days, the 5 children were declared dead and 5 death certificates were issued, all before the new year even arrived. And the fire was officially deemed an accident due to faulty wiring. So during this time, George then took it upon himself to create a memorial garden of sorts on like the flat remains of like the foundation that was remaining. And he covered the area with a few feet of dirt to like plant these flowers. And that will become relevant later on. So it kind of sounds like it's an open and shut case right off the bat, right? Like just a tragic accident where 5 children had been trapped inside this house and were unable to escape. However, Jenny, from the beginning, struggled to believe that the 5 bodies could completely disappear and have no remains, no bones, nothing left over. Frustrated by the police chief's assertion that the bones could be totally burned, leaving nothing behind, she started to conduct her own experiments. So she would go and she would take animal bones and she would burn them in her stove. And she found that they would never completely disintegrate. There would always be remains left. However, obviously a stove is never going to reach the same temperatures as like a house fire. So that's not necessarily like a one-to-one equivalent there. But Jenny also goes and speaks with crematorium employees who say that even bodies that are burned at 2000 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours during cremation still have bones left behind. So she just, from the beginning, just didn't believe that there would just be completely nothing left. They thought there should be some type of bone fragments or just something left behind. Also, there were pieces of appliances that were found in the rubble and they weren't completely burned down either, which meant that not everything was turned to ash. Speaking to the Times West Virginian in 2016, a retired firefighter had said, quote, work materials kept in the family's garage, like 55-gallon drums of gasoline and motors, might have intensified the heat of the flames. Then, by covering the fire's embers with dirt in the immediate aftermath of the blaze, remember when George goes and fills it with dirt for this memorial garden, George may have also inadvertently created an oven that would advance the cremation process. So if there were still some embers left over that were still kind of, burning a little bit, and then he covers them with the dirt, this argument is that that could exacerbate the cremation process and make it really a lot hotter than it would have been. So this seems to explain that perhaps it would be possible for any remaining bones to be completely cremated against what might seem like an environment where that wouldn't be possible. So that was one argument. And another troubling detail was that nobody at or near the home during the fire ever reported the smell of burning flesh. So Marion, one of the oldest surviving children, later told the Raleigh Register in 1976, quote, during the fire, I kept watching the windows, but I never saw even one of the children. I never smelled burning flesh. They say you can smell burning flesh miles away, but I never did, end quote. And so the fact that she or nobody else ever claimed to smell burning flesh and nobody
How would they
reported,
how would they know what it smelled like, though?
well, apparently it's a very, I mean, the firefighters would know what that smelled like.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Apparently it's a very distinguishable smell. I've never smelt it, but apparently it's a very unique
Yeah.
smell
Yeah, it's like
that,
I've heard that once you smell it, it's just kind
Ugh,
of right away. It's disgusting. But also, yeah, and I think burning house that has wood and stuff burning, if you smelled like a body, it would be very different smell than like a woody
yeah,
campfire kind
yeah,
of thing. But
yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Because I guess everyone would know what wood burning would smell like, but
yeah.
this is a very
Yeah.
clear,
Ugh,
distinctive other
yeah,
smell.
yeah.
Um, so, the fact that nobody else ever claimed to smell burning flesh, and also another thing, nobody reported seeing the children in the window. They didn't see their silhouettes inside the home, or they didn't hear screams. They didn't hear crying. It was all very odd. You'd think you'd see something inside the shadow inside the room moving or screams or cries or something, nothing. So I guess the implication there is for those reasons people think that maybe the children weren't even in the room at all or in the house at all because there was just nothing that you would expect if there were 5 children trapped in a house. You just didn't see any sign of that.
You'd think windows being broken from the inside or something. That's what I'd be picturing. If you're in there, you're trying to smash the windows from the inside. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I just find it kind of weird that nobody would have seen anything. Maybe if there was a fire near the window, the children might not be at the window looking out, but you would see I don't know, I just feel like you would see silhouettes moving out inside the room, right? You'd see it's nighttime. You'd see shadows. I don't know. You'd hear cries, screaming, something. Um, but they just never heard any of that. So that was all something that was very weird to like people who were at the area where the fire was happening. And then there was a possible theory that the children did escape the fire and they like ran away on their own to get away from it. And then they had died somehow, like due to exposure to the winter elements, because obviously it was winter. But this theory had been debunked because their bodies were never found on or in the surrounding area of the property at all. So that was quickly debunked as well. So the Sodders were overall just highly unconvinced that the fire was accidental due to faulty wiring, and they rejected that conclusion for several reasons. One of the major reasons being that the home's wiring had been inspected just weeks earlier and passed inspection, and it was ultimately deemed safe by the power company. Then 2 weeks later, or a couple weeks later, if you have a fire, so either that person did the assessment wrong, or it's just weird that they would have said it was perfectly fine, and then it's bad enough to cause a fire just a few short weeks later. And then along with that, the family also, like in retrospect, kind of recalled some unusual occurrences in the weeks leading up to the fire that were very alarming to them, especially in hindsight after this fire. So the first one was, quote, a stranger had appeared at the home a few months earlier asking about hauling work. He meandered around the property, went to the back of the house, pointed to two separate fuse boxes and said, quote, this is going to cause a fire someday, end quote. So George thought it was kind of a weird comment to make, and like, why is this person coming? Like, just weird. And at the time, he kind of chalked it up to the man being frustrated that he was being denied work. So I guess he went to George asking if he had any jobs for him. George didn't. So he thought maybe the person was just, I don't know. It's like meandering around the property, just being weird, just as kind of like, I don't know, just weird. Then there was another man who came to the home selling life insurance shortly before the day of the fire as well. So when the conversation turned hostile, the the salesman allegedly threatened George, saying, quote, your goddamn house is going up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed. You're going to be paid for the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini, end quote. So that's obviously a red flag too.
Yeah, that's super suspicious. What the hell?
Yeah, like literally explaining what then happens a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Like the house goes up in smoke, the children, he says they're going to be destroyed. And yeah, so maybe something you'd want to look into for sure. So family members also recalled that in the days before Christmas, they had seen an unfamiliar man sitting in a parked car watching the children as they came home from school. Um, Obviously, they didn't do anything about it at the time. They just had noticed it, thought it was kind of weird. Then there were things that happened at the time or shortly after the fire that also raised alarms for the family. So that ladder that George was unable to locate, during the chaos, it was found at the bottom of an embankment 75 feet away from the house. Then there was a telephone repairman so I guess when they had started to rebuild the house, they didn't rebuild the house like right on the foundation of the other one, like it was close by. And so they had like a telephone repairman come and like set up the stuff or whatever, I guess, as part of that new construction. Um, the telephone repairman confirmed that the phone line had been cut and it wasn't burned. So it's not like the fire had burned it. It had been a very clean cut. And then there was also a bus driver who was passing by, reported seeing people throwing, quote, balls of fire at the house shortly before the fire started. So these were all separate things that kind of came to light after the fact. And then when you put them all together, it seems super sketchy. Then later, the Sodders actually found a small, hard, dark rubber object in their yard. And it was assumed to be a type of like incendiary device or a pineapple bomb, which were types of like, I guess, grenades or something that were used at the time. And that might also help explain the bang and the rolling sound that Jenny heard on the roof the night of the fire, and also seemed to align with the bus driver's alleged sighting that people were throwing like balls of fire at the house. With all of these instances leading up to and then just after the fire, the family was adamant that it was no accident, that was caused by faulty wiring. They seemed convinced that the fire was intentionally set as a distraction and that strange people were involved. They believed their children were still alive and had been kidnapped. So then they ultimately came to the conclusion that someone had kidnapped the children and started the fire as some type of distraction, as a way to cover up maybe the kidnapping.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting that if it's the youngest kids that disappeared, it's be easy to take the younger kids, you know? Like, it's the youngest ones that
It's
yeah, I was
weird.
just gonna
were
say
gone.
how old were they, the ones that got kidnapped?
Well, not the youngest, I guess,
Um,
Joseph the youngest was there, but
yeah, so I'll go the ones that were missing were age 14, 12, 9, 8, and 5.
Yeah.
And
I
then
find it crazy to get that many kids, and especially those ages, out of the house without someone noticing. Like,
yeah.
those they're gonna put up a fight for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kinda weird, and, like, the ones that weren't so the 4 that were accounted for, like, they escaped the fire were age 2, 17, 23, and 16. So they were older except for the youngest one, but Sylvia, who was age 2, her crib was, like, in the parents' room. So that could explain why maybe if it was a kidnapping, why they wouldn't kidnap the youngest one because they knew that she was in the parents' bedroom. So, yeah, so once these sort of strange things started to kind of pile up, it just kind of compounded the fact that the family believed that it had to have been something nefarious and that it wasn't just an accident. I guess yeah, before I get into this next section here, I guess what are you guys' thoughts kind of right out of the gate so far? Do you believe it could have been an accident? Do you believe
Well,
there's
I wanna
something
know, is there proof that all this stuff happened? Or, like, I'm not blaming the parents, but could they have just been making stuff up to make it look like something happened and they didn't do it themselves? Like, was there proof that the phone line was cut? Like, did they actually prove that there was somebody throwing fireballs at their house? Like, or was
well
this just them saying
well
stuff?
well, the bus driver did, like I guess he did come forward and explained it. So there was actually a person who said they saw, um,
But
them
did he
throwing fireballs.
could have been the dad throwing fireballs at his own house?
I don't know, but I mean, he was in the bed when Jenny woke up.
Okay, I guess.
Like, she woke up, right, and, like, at 1:30 and heard the stuff hitting the roof.
And he was okay.
He was probably there. I mean, I don't know, it didn't say he was there, but I'm assuming if he wasn't, she would be suspicious. I don't know. Or she would, like I think that would come up if he wasn't. That's my point. But,
Yeah.
yeah, but then so I do go into a little so there are some of this stuff that I explained that does get explained later. I'm not gonna tell you which parts yet. Um, so not all of that stuff is still a mystery, like, some of that has been determined and, like, wrapped up.
So wait, so this happened at 1:30 in the morning? Like, what was the bus driver doing driving around that late at night?
Yeah, like, I don't think like, I don't think I was thinking that too. I don't think he was driving a bus at the time, he
Right.
just
Yeah.
was a bus driver
Yeah,
that
and he
was
just happened to be driving his car or walking or something around that time?
yeah. Well, I think it was
1:30 on
1:30.
Christmas Eve?
Yeah, I believe yeah. I don't know. So, if that is a true story, if that person did actually see that, then it's like, why are you driving around at that time on Christmas Eve? I don't know. But who knows? I mean, there could be many reasons. I don't
Looking at the
know.
Christmas lights.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, I don't know. But they did find, like, that weird, like, device in their yard that, George said was, like, pineapple bomb, kind of looked like a pineapple bomb, which I guess was, like, used in war and stuff, I guess, at the time. So that seemed to all sort of align. Like, if this guy sees somebody throwing stuff at the house, they find it in their yard later. She hears the bang sound and the rolling. So that might sort of all seem to align. But I don't know. I guess, Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Just wanna know, did they all have their own rooms and stuff?
So I think some of the kids, like, some of them were sharing rooms. So I think the kids that were missing were all like in the upper floor. But yeah, they were all like up on one floor. And then yeah, then Jenny and George were on another floor with some of the kids that had escaped, and then Marion was, like, on the ground floor because she was sleeping on the couch. So she got out, um, she was on the ground floor.
Right,
So I
so
guess
all
I'll
the ones
just
that were missing were, like, in the same area then of the house.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah, part of
okay.
me thinks, like, they ran out like, they got out. Like, they were scared and they got out, but maybe they ran, like, I don't know, into the woods or something to get away, and then something happened to them there or something. I don't know, it's but weird that, like, the older kids wouldn't have, like, tried to help them.
There was fire blocking the stairs up to the floor where those other kids were. So, like, no one could really pass the fire, um, to get up to and, like, some of the kids had, like, singed their hair, on some of the flames as they were, like, trying to get out of where even they were, and so, like, they couldn't just it was, like, impossible, they couldn't get up the stairs. That's why George thought he had to, like, break the windows and, like, go up through on the ladder to, like, get up to that because you couldn't just go up the stairs.
Part of me thinks, like, the people like, those little kids got taken first, and then the fire was set to, like, kill the rest, but
Yeah,
it's like, how do you get rid of the I mean, the kids didn't make a sound. It doesn't really make sense, you know? Like, how did you get all 5 kids out when
yeah,
it's a full house? I don't know.
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
upstairs. They would've had to, like, walk down the stairs
Yeah.
into, like, the bottom floor where everybody else was, and, like, it was Christmas Eve, like, people I don't know.
Yeah.
The kids are
Yeah.
kids would be, like, up, sort of excited, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, everyone I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Very strange.
yeah, and so, yeah, it's just kind of very, very weird. So I guess the family was very much thinking, like, yes, the kids had been kidnapped, and then whoever did it set the house on fire after. The door was unlocked when Jenny went down, like, an hour or whatever before, and then she locked it. So is it like, were the kids even in the room at that point in time? Like, they could have already been gone by then if they had been kidnapped. I don't know. Then in the weeks after the fire, there were several reported sightings of the children themselves that seemed to kind of align with this kidnapping theory. So one woman came forward and claimed that she saw the children peering from a passing car as the fire was burning. Another woman reports seeing the children at a rest stop the morning after the fire. She stated, quote, "I served them breakfast. There was a car with Florida license plates at the tourist court too," end quote. And then 1 week after the fire, a female staff member at a hotel in Charleston, which is about an hour's drive away from Fayetteville, came forward. She told police, quote, "The children were accompanied by 2 women and 2 men, all of Italian extraction. I do not remember the exact date. However, the entire party did register at the hotel and stayed in a large room with several beds. They registered about midnight. I tried to talk to the children in a friendly manner, but the men appeared hostile and refused to allow me to talk to these children. One of the men looked at me in a hostile manner. He turned around and began speaking rapidly in Italian. Immediately, the whole party stopped talking to me. I sensed that I was being frozen out, and so I said nothing more. They left early the next morning." End quote. So none of these sightings had ever actually been verified. So those are just people who came forward and said this. So if they're telling the truth, that still doesn't mean that it was those children. Could have just been a random other kids. Um, I don't know why people would come forward and lie with this information, especially like something that descriptive, but who knows? So it is believed that, or many people believe that this was a true sighting, and corroborates the kidnapping theory that these 2 women, 2 men had these kids and they were Italian. They were Italian people. Um, so yeah, and this other person apparently served them breakfast at like a rest stop. So then someone else came forward and reported that around the time of the fire, they saw a man near the home carrying a block and tackle, which is a device that at the time was used on cars during like maintenance or mechanic work. It was like a some type of pulley device. And apparently with this device, you can remove an engine from a car. And remember, George says that his 2 large coal trucks did not work the morning of the fire, despite them working perfectly the day before. So that was kind of the implication there. Maybe this person had this device, had tampered with the cars for some reason. This sighting was verified when a local man named Lonnie Johnson was identified, and he actually later admits to theft. And he also admitted to not just the theft, but cutting the family's phone line. However, he denied any involvement in the fire itself. Investigators believe that Lonnie cut the phone lines to prevent anyone in the family from calling the police if he was caught during the theft of these items. So police also believed that the missing ladder could be connected to Lonnie, as he likely needed the ladder to get up to cut the phone lines and then tossed it into the ditch when he was done. So, due to this explanation, it seems like the missing ladder, the non working cars, and the mysterious man that was seen near the scene could all be explained and were not really related at all to the fire. It was just this thief that was doing other things that just happened to be
That
around the
seems
same
like
time.
such a coincidence that they're not related, like, this guy happened to steal the ladder and, like, make sure the cars don't work and cut the phone line at the same time. Hours later, someone burns down the house. but they're not related. It seems crazy.
Yeah. So I don't really know. Yeah, it's hard to determine. It could have just been totally random, but that would be a huge coincidence. And I mean, the fact people say that the fact that he did come forward and like admitted to the theft and the cutting of the phone lines, it's like, he was truthful about that. So why would you come forward at all? But then people say, like, because those are lesser crimes than starting the fire that then goes on to kill 5 children potentially. So, maybe it's easier. Like, I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah,
he
I guess
admitted
that's
to that.
true. If he was guilty of the fire, why would he come forward at all?
Yeah. Like maybe he just, yeah. Like you said he was there and said those things that he did, but then didn't want to actually go all the way and admit that the fires were him too. In this case, when there's like things that come up about like the ladder that was missing and the cars that weren't working and the phone line, they're all kind of attributed to this guy, Lonnie Johnson. Whether or not that's separate from the fire, we don't know. But yeah, at least it has an explanation. Like at least we know someone who, you know, said they did it, or can be assumed that they did that. Another strange thing from the night of the fires was ultimately came to light and was explained as well. Remember that strange phone call that Jenny received the night of the fire? The question was like, was it a wrong number? Was it a distraction that was orchestrated as part of this larger plan? Because right away Jenny was thinking this person was involved. She heard weird laughter. There was like a celebration going on in the back, whatever. Like this person called and it was weird. Police do find out who made the call and they interview the woman and she just says it was a wrong number. She called by mistake, which I think is easy to explain. Like it's Christmas Eve. She's probably like drunk or at a party, tried to call someone, called the wrong number. So like to me, that was very easily explained. So yeah, that was kind of taken away as like anything weird or anything related to the fire. So the family hires some private investigators because they're just, like I said, not happy with the ruling that it's an accident. So one of the investigators is named C.C. Tinsley, which is such an old timey detective name. Like if you had like a detective show, C.C. Tinsley, like that's what you would name, what your name would be. Um, so he did a thorough investigation since the local authorities were not doing anything at all because they had considered it solved on their end. Like they weren't really like open to reopening that investigation. So the PI discovers that the life insurance salesman, so that guy who came to the house just weeks before the fire, who was like hurling threats to George about his house burning down, it wasn't just a random stranger. So that was a former employee of George's. And he was a man that was close enough to the family at one time that George had actually had him listed as a co-signer on the house insurance policy. According to Smithsonian Magazine, quote, the individual had previously been employed by George and he was a co-signer on the family's home insurance, which he'd increased from 1,500 to 1,750 before the fire without their consent or knowledge,
Yeah, I was
end
gonna
quote.
say, I'm like, he must know George. It's like, why would this random stranger get that angry for someone not buying insurance? Like, I'm like, there must be some history there.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the connection that this PI discovered. I mean, obviously, George knew that he knew the man too. So that wasn't like what the PI uncovered because I'm sure George knew him or said he knew him. But it was the fact that he did a little bit of digging and found that like this guy, because he was a co-signer on the house insurance, was able to go in and he like changed the amount on the house insurance policy, but the family didn't know that. And that was just shortly before the fire. So that's super suspicious as well.
I find it weird
Um,
that one cosigner can like change stuff without the other one knowing and signing as well. Like, isn't that a point that you have two cosigners so they both can sign off on things together?
Yeah. I mean, maybe in
Seems,
the
yeah,
40s,
I
maybe it
guess.
was
Yeah.
different. And I also think like this definitely shows you how old this case is because the house insurance policy was $1,500 and it was increased to 1750.
Oh my
So
God.
$250. Like that's wild
It's
to think.
crazy.
Another thing that was super sketchy was in a connection to this salesman. So he actually found out that this guy was actually ended up being on the coroner's jury. That was the ones that determined that the house was accidental or that the fire was accidental. So that was a strange connection as well. Like he happens to be on the jury of people that then go on. to make that determination or allow the coroner to make that determination. I don't really know like the legality of why that's a thing or how that's a thing, but anyway, at this time, the coroner had like a jury of like just regular people that could come in and like look at the facts and ultimately like rule. So this salesman that was also the co-signer on the insurance said it was, oh yeah, he signed off that it was an accident. So kind of
Mm,
suspicious as well.
yeah, that seems a little bit sus.
Yeah. And so the PI also, so this PI uncovers like a lot of stuff. So he also uncovered some troubling information that involved Fire Chief F.J. Morris. It was the Fire Chief Morris who determined that there were no bodies or remains found in the rubble. But later, a lot of, and in this case, there's a lot of rumors. So like back in the 40s, there was like a lot of like just rumors and like, you know, people gossiping, I guess. But later, apparently he had confided to someone that he had in fact found a human heart in the debris. According to the story, Morris placed the heart into a dynamite box and buried it at the scene. After figuring this out, the family goes and like digs up this box and they take it in to be examined. And then upon examination, it's determined that the organ wasn't human at all, but it was a beef liver that was untouched by the fire. Rumors later made their way back to the family that Morris was telling other people that the box and the liver were not found in the fire at all. He allegedly said that it was planted there in hopes that if it was found in the rubble, it would cause the family to believe the children had perished in the fire and stop pushing for further investigation.
Did you found one heart, so all 5 kids are dead? How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like it's like some type of sign that, you know, and I was hoping, I guess, that they wouldn't do much of an investigation. They would just take that as like, oh, there's the sign that we needed to say that they were in the house when it burned. And obviously, he didn't think they were going to do a thorough investigation because it wasn't even a human heart. It wasn't even a heart. It was a beef liver. So I guess I don't know. But also, I find it weird that like I couldn't find anything on this, but like, why would you like put it in a box and bury it, and then be like, oh, it's found in the rubble? Well, no, it's buried in a box. Like that's not natural. Like I don't know. So that part was kind of weird to me. But that was the
Yeah.
story that
Yeah,
he
why would
said
you be
that.
like, "Oh, that must be something that belonged to the kids in the fire,
Yeah,
like, buried in a box." Yeah, the logic is not adding up there.
yeah, it's just weird. I mean, this
Yeah,
guy
you could.
clearly thought he could like fool them with a beef liver and think it was a heart, as hoping that no one knew what a heart looked like
Yeah,
and what a liver
and
looked like.
and why is he so, like, pushing that the investigation stops? Like, that seems sketchy, like, that's, like, your legitimate job. Your,
Hmm.
like, actual job is to, like, investigate. He just doesn't wanna do his job. It's Christmas, it's like, "Nah, I'm
I
done."
didn't want
Like,
it to be shown that he didn't know what he was doing, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was just very, very quick. Like I said, they had issued the death certificates and declared them dead before even the new year. So it was like within a week, all that stuff was done. Whereas remember that other person had said like nowadays it would take like days and weeks maybe to even do the search of you would do like a thorough like examination of like the area, right? But this was just a couple hours. They did it, said it was done and whatever.
So did
So
they ever, like,
obviously,
did they ever dig up that spot where that was buried and planted to, like, search for remains later
um,
on?
well, that's exactly the next part that I'm getting to.
Okay.
I feel like you always do that. You always
I
ask, and then I'm
know.
like, oh, that's the next section. So, um, so in October of 1949, so this would have been like nearly 4 years after the fire, the family hires pathologist Oscar B. Hunter. And so he excavates the dirt in the basement and the dirt around the area. And he found four small bone fragments. So the fragments were sent to the Smithsonian, which determined that they were human vertebrae belonging to a 16 or 17-year-old person. The oldest of the missing children was only 14. The report stated that, quote, it is, however, possible, although not probable, for a boy 14 and a half years old to show age 16 or 17 maturation, end quote. So this leads to more questions than it answers because it technically could have been a bone from one of the children, but it was deemed not likely. So if it wasn't one of the children, then there's still questions like whose is it and how did it get there? So yeah, that didn't really answer anything. Like they said, probably not him or any of the kids because, like I said, the oldest was 14 and this was from a 16 or 17-year-old person. There was also no evidence that these bone fragments were exposed to fire at all. So therefore, it was ultimately determined that the bones likely came from the dirt that George used to fill the basement to make that memorial garden. So there were like those bone fragments were in the dirt that he got to fill this area.
Ugh,
That
that's
was
sketchy. It's like
yeah, and I
somebody
also saw
else's remains happen to
yeah, like I
be in
also
the
saw
dirt that he used.
yeah, like I saw a source that said like he got the dirt from a cemetery. I don't know if that's true, but I saw that. So I don't know.
Jesus.
But anyway, so that was ultimately the conclusion. Like, yeah, it was probably just transferred there from wherever he got this. But still didn't answer like whose bones are they? Like, who's this person? So yeah, DNA testing, like we said, did not exist in the 40s or 50s. So after the bones were examined, they were actually given back to George, and their whereabouts after that remain unknown. So now it's not even possible to like re-examine them again because they don't even have them anymore. I guess at that time they just return them to the family. Like there's no reason to keep them. There's no other testing we can do. So that was unfortunate. That's kind of where like things stood for a little bit, and then a few years after that, George sees a photo in a New York newspaper of 3 school children, and one of them looked exactly like his missing daughter, Betty. So he actually takes it upon himself to drive to New York from West Virginia, and he tracks down the children's parents. And they refused to talk to him or to let him talk to their children. So he kind of hit a barrier there, and they just wouldn't let him, which I always thought was like weird. Why would you not? But then I'm thinking like it's a strange man just showing up saying, "Can I talk to your children?" Like which parent would? I don't know. It seems weird that you would be like, "Okay, sure." So I get it that they wouldn't. Um, Although it's frustrating for him because he knew he was totally innocent in what he was doing, but like they don't know that. And then in 1950, the Sodders persuaded the FBI to get involved, but the agency, like they kind of like started to look into the investigation, but they eventually concluded that it was a local matter and they dropped the case. Local authorities remained steadfast in their belief that the children died in the fire. So the local authorities weren't budging at all. They were like, nope, it was an accident. The children died in the fire. Regardless of all this other stuff that got unearthed by the PI, it's like, no, there's no reason to investigate this any further. Then one of the most in one of the most the biggest leads came in 1967. So this would have been at this time, this is like 22 years after the fire. Jenny receives an anonymous letter in the mail, postmarked from Kentucky. Inside was a photograph of a young man in his 20s with features resembling her missing son, Lewis. On the back of the picture was a cryptic note. It said, Lewis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, Lil Boys, A90132 or 35. End quote. That's all it said in
So
the chat here.
I love Frankie little boys?
Yeah, it said,
Mm,
I love brother Frankie, period. Then Lil Boys, LLIL, boys, period.
what the hell?
A90132 or
That sounds like
35.
he's a pervert, shouldn't
Yeah, super, yeah, gross.
I always find it so annoying when there's, like, cryptic messages. Like, if you're gonna send a message, like, make it fucking clear what you're trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
don't, like, make it a mystery. Like, just say it. What the hell?
Yeah.
Be like,
Yeah, it's
"He's a
so
pervert." Like, if that's what you're trying to say.
yeah, I know, I know. But, like, people like that are probably like, obviously, they're super perverted. They probably just, like, get a kick out of it. Like, "Oh, we're not gonna tell you. We're just gonna, like, make you agonize over this, try to figure out what it means." Like, people are gross like that. It's fucking annoying.
And how
Uh,
old was Louis when he went missing?
um,
Oh, Frankie? Oh, wait, who is this? Who is he
no,
trying to s
there's no Frankie. I don't know what Frankie is referring to.
Oh,
There's no
okay,
Frankie.
okay.
But it says, um I need to get the age right. So Lewis was 9 years old when the
Oh,
fire
okay,
happened. And so
okay,
this is now 22 years after the fire, so he would have been like 31
okay.
or 30. Yeah. Yeah, 31. So yeah, so him on the left as when he went the time he went missing, and then that's the picture that got sent to the family. I actually have another picture here, which I'll find.
It looked
Um
nothing like him, I don't think.
I was gonna say, I'm not convinced.
I'd be like I'd write back, "Who the fuck is
yeah.
that?"
Like the Jenny was convinced, like she said that like I think it was like she said the nose looked very similar, like the something about like his eyebrow looked very
The lips
similar, like
don't.
his
Did he get his lips done? Like, those look very different.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I didn't necessarily think it looked like him either. But there's a
I
lot of
feel like when
cases
you
that have, like, pictures. Like, there's other
y
cases I'm
y
thinking of,
y
and I'm like, "That doesn't look like them at all,"
but
but
I think when you're in that situation, you wanna convince yourself it does. Like, you just want
yeah.
answers. Yeah.
But also, like, maybe I don't know, people always say too that, like parents always say they're like, "No, I know my child. Like, I know that that is them." So maybe it's different versus me just looking at a picture for 5
Yeah,
seconds,
yeah.
saying that's not. But anyway, this next picture here is just,
And also, like, what do the other kids look like? Like, the older picture could, like, look like the siblings do now, sort of, you know what I mean? So, like, that's why she might think, like, yeah, that could he could have grown into that because that's what his brother looks like or something.
yeah, yeah, like, it didn't say anything about that, but, like, I'm assuming that's, probably one of the reasons too, like, "Oh, this looks like he could be the brother of
So,
whoever."
are they saying that this pitch Lou this is Lou Sodder? Or, like, he's writing this to Lou Sodder?
I don't
I'm
know. I have no idea. There's
yeah.
no it's very cryptic, so
Mhm.
they don't really know anything. It came from Kentucky, um, and that's all it said, so they have no idea.
A9, that's so
Like, what's
that
A90132 or
or
35?
35.
So is he saying it's like
Like,
A90135 or A901, you know what I'm saying? Like the last number
oh,
35
oh,
instead of
oh, yeah,
32
yeah.
is
Yeah.
what I took from that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
but I don't know what that's referring to. It's
Yeah.
super weird.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's just like non sequitur, like, what? It's like a delusion, like some madman writing this, like, what does he makes I love brother Frankie, like, who's Frankie? There's no Frankie in this family, first of all. Um, like, none of the other missing kids were named Frankie, so I don't know.
Mm,
Really
yeah,
weird,
it is weird.
like, super creepy and super weird. That's what she got in the mail in 1967. Oh, yeah, so
Was there, like, a return address on it? Like, was there, like, an ext she just know it just came from Kentucky. There was no, like,
to
home
know that
address or anything?
it said postmarked from Kentucky. I don't know what
Mm,
that I mean, yeah, it came from
Yeah.
Kentucky, but no, return address,
Mm.
um, on it. So, they actually hired another private investigator when this came in the mail, but despite hiring this other investigator, they were never able to track down the sender, like who sent this letter, or the young man in the photo. It's also reported that shortly after they hired this detective to go look into the photo, so they hired him, he went to Kentucky, he never contacted the family again and went AWOL. So they just don't know what happened with him either. So that was super weird. So it was like, was he a scammer and just like took their money and ran? Or did something happen to him as he was investigating this? They also don't know that. They just never heard from him again. So
oh my god, it's so weird.
so super weird. So like that just went nowhere. So obviously they had tried to do something by hiring this person, but didn't go very well for them. Over the years, there were other leads that came up but went nowhere as well. So there was also another letter that someone from St. Louis sent, and they said that the oldest missing daughter, Martha, was in a convent there. So she had been working in a convent in St. Louis. Another tip came from a patron from a bar in Texas who said that they overheard, quote, an incriminating conversation, end quote, about a Christmas Eve house fire in West Virginia. Then someone in Florida came forward saying the children were living with distant Sodder family relatives. Each time that one of these tips came in, George and Jenny would like travel to the state where the tip came from and like personally follow up with it. But every lead that they had turned out to just be a dead end. Obviously, they don't have much resources of their own to do like what authorities could do. And much of the work fell on them because they were like pushing authorities to like do something and look into this. They were like actually got to the point where they were holding they had these hearings at the state capitol, and they got told that during those hearings that the case was hopeless and that it's just closed. So like stop basically. So they kind of like exhausted all of their resources that they had to like try to push it forward, but nothing came from it. So like they had to just personally follow up on all these leads themselves. So like they would go to St. Louis, go to like convents in St. Louis, and I guess they would go to Florida with these like distant relatives that someone said. Then they'd go to this bar in Texas, like all this stuff. So they had to unfortunately like do the grunt work themselves and didn't go anywhere, any of them. So yeah, the Sodders family search became like this lifelong. thing for them. Like, they weren't gonna give it up. They were just gonna keep going until they found the answers that they wanted. They actually ended up putting up a billboard along Route 16 in the early 1950s, and the billboard displayed the children's photos and offered a reward for information. And then after 1967, like, after they got that letter in the mail with the photo, they actually updated the billboard to include that photo on it. And then on the billboard too, they're like kind of calling out the police. And the billboard actually remained there for over 40 years. So it went up in the early 50s and it was there until like the 90s
Oh my
along Route
god.
16. Um, and George died in 1969, so just 2 years after they got that letter in the mail. And then Jenny died in 1989, and both of them, they just died without any answers about what happened to the kids. And so essentially, George and Jenny just spent the rest of their lives searching for their children. They followed leads across the country. They never gave up hope. Their surviving children carried on the search after their parents' death as well. And the youngest child, Sylvia, who was just 2 years old when the fire occurred, she died in 2021 at the age of 79. Again, she died before finding any answers as well. So, like, she kind of kept it going even after that, but still nothing came of that. So, now there are like two major camps for people who know this case. There's like two major camps for people who are invested in this case. So the first camp is people who agree with the official explanation. They say that the children probably just died in the fire and their remains were just never found. But as we've discussed, the evidence for that isn't super compelling. The other camp is for those who believe that the fire was set deliberately, either as an act of revenge or just like a cover up for kidnapping. Some point to George's outspoken political views and the threats that he was receiving. Others suggest that the children may have been taken by someone within the local Italian community, possibly even sent back to Italy. I don't know why they would assume that. There are some more far fetched ideas that come up as well. Like, some people believe the children were sold into adoption or that they grew up unaware of their true identities. And that mysterious photograph in 1967 only kind of fueled that particular theory. There was also rumors, tons of rumors about the possibility of mafia involvement. So George's Italian heritage and his disputes with other members of the community could have made him a target. And organized crime was active in West Virginia at the time, and kidnapping for ransom was not unheard of. But there was no ransom in this. Like, they never got contacted by anyone asking for ransom or anything like that. But again, there's no concrete evidence linking the mafia to this case at all. So the truth is that even every theory in this case has its holes, and the lack of definitive evidence has only kind of deepened the mystery. In recent years, advances in forensic science and DNA analysis have solved many other cold cases that were once thought to be unsolvable. So a lot of people are asking, could modern technology finally provide answers in this case? But unfortunately, with so little physical evidence remaining, probably like none, it's definitely not likely. But the story continues to fascinate people, and it's like a big, like, well-known unsolved mystery. So yeah, that's kind of where the case ends. So there's no answers really, and no conclusion really. So now it's like 80 years later, and the kids were just never seen again. So I don't know. What do you guys think happened?
I don't know, but the age group of the missing kids seems significant to me for some reason.
Hmm.
Like, if there was for adoption, they're gonna likely younger kids are gonna get adopted. If it
Hmm.
was adoptions, I don't know. I feel like it's all the young, like, it just seems like
Yeah, and it's not like they're
planned.
gonna forget the kids are gonna forget where they came from. Like, a 14-year-old's
Yeah,
not gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, like, this is my real
are you my real
family," after
mom?
a couple years.
Yeah,
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 Hmm.
like, that
like,
happens to, like, little babies.
yeah,
You'd think, like, they'd come forward.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 14-year-old eventually, like, like, I was taken at 14 years old or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And like, even Lewis, who was like 9, like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
still
he'd
old
still
enough to know.
remember. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I think they were taken and then the house burnt on fi was set on fire.
Hmm.
That's what I think, but I also don't know how you would get the kids out of the house. Also, Christmas Eve seems like a very weird time to try that. Um,
Hmm.
that seems like the one of the worst days of the year to try to
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because
kidnap,
like, the
like, it's
kids would be, like, awake. I feel like because 'cause they're not gonna sleep
yeah,
very well because 'cause they're excited, especially, like,
yeah,
younger
and,
kids,
like,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna be, like, sort of awake
unless he dressed
almost
up like
all night.
Santa and said, "Come with me, kids." Like, I mean, yeah, Christmas Eve just
Yeah.
seems I don't know, seems like a very ballsy time to do it.
Yeah, like, the only thing I
Yeah.
was, like, possibly thinking was, like because and there's sources in this or, like, different, like, places that I've seen, like, they make a point to talk about how the 2 boys went out, to feed the animals at night. So to me, I'm thinking, like, maybe something happened out there, like, somebody met them out there and then told them, like, "Go get your siblings," or something, and then so, like and then the kids would go with the 2
Did they
brothers.
ever did they ever really question the one that was away? The one kid that wasn't there?
No, like, he never really comes up at all in any of the story. He was just in the military, but I don't know. And, like, I don't
Hmm,
know, I think, like, that insurance salesman seems pretty suspicious, to say the least. Um, I don't know, and
Yeah,
maybe
like, he,
that
like, almost,
thief
like,
was also
literally
part of it.
threatened to, like, burn the house down and
Yeah,
kill the kids.
but also, wouldn't you be smart enough to, like, if you're gonna threaten, not to threaten the exact thing that you're gonna then do?
Yes,
Like,
unless you're assuming
but
that they're not gonna survive to, like, say anything.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I feel like they would definitely target it for some reason, but I'm just stuck on how did they get the kids out of the
Mhm.
house?
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe, like yeah, maybe they just assumed, like, they were gonna like, they kidnapped the kid, and then they just assumed everyone was gonna die in the fire. They didn't
Mhm.
expect, like, there to actually be survivors. But why would what was it about those 5 kids? Like, there
That's
was
what I mean.
4. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, why was it specifically those ones?
yeah,
Because there was also, like, the one of the daughters, 17, was sleeping on the couch. Like, she would have been the
yeah.
easiest to probably take. She's right there, right? But
Mhm.
she survived.
I feel like there's a reason they wanted the younger kids for a reason.
Yeah.
That's what I thought right away when you named the ages of the kids that were taken. It was all the youngest ones. Like, it wasn't the 23-year-old and a 9-year-old, you know? It was like
Mhm.
or the 17 it was all they're all in like, literally
Yeah,
all the youngest ones.
but it was all the ones that were upstairs. That's why it kinda makes me think, like, maybe they just didn't make it out, right? Like, it
Yeah,
makes sense that those are the ones that didn't make it out,
because 'cause they're on the
but
top. They were at the
yeah,
but no screams or no anything, like
I know, like,
Yeah, that's what's
yeah,
weird to me too, like, they just sat there in silence? Like, I don't think you would do that.
yeah,
no, I don't know.
So
Yeah,
weird.
and like, the door like, the and also the door being unlocked, like, that seems to
Yeah,
suggest maybe somebody but I was thinking maybe, like, when the 2 sons came in from, like, feeding the animals, maybe they just forgot to lock it
right.
because, like, I think she went to bed and then told them to go out, and they did, and then they coulda just
yeah,
forgot, but maybe not, I don't know. Someone could have been in the house. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, like, this banging sound on the roof, unless unless it was Santa.
Yeah,
But if it wasn't, then I don't know. Like, that
yeah,
seems like, it has to be connected.
yeah,
yeah,
But then I was thinking maybe no, it was on the roof, I was gonna say, because I was like, maybe when the guy stole the ladder, like, maybe it clinked against the house, and that's what she heard.
yeah,
But it was on the roof, not the side of the house. Like, she said it sounded like a banging sound and then, like, the rolling sound, like, as if they had thrown one of those things up there and it rolled off.
yeah, it makes it seems like it was one of those, like, actual balls of fire.
yeah.
If it was,
Yeah.
like, a hard rubber thing.
Yeah, and then they found, like, the hard rubber thing in their yard
Hmm.
after that. And then what do you think of, like, the sightings that the people came forward and said they saw them at the hotel? Like, do you think
I don't
that's true?
no.
You don't
I think they I think they're probably true sightings, but not of the right
Yeah.
family, not of the
No.
right kids.
No.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because yeah, it could have been any kids,
Yeah.
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 really. Yeah. And, like, the same with the girl who, like, saw them at the rest stop, like, it probably just
Yeah.
yeah. But then there
Yeah.
was that person who said they saw the kids peering out of a car at the time of the fire, like, a car that was driving away or driving by. They saw the kids peering out the window.
But it's
But
yeah,
did
then you
they
gotta
look
think, like
distressed? Were they, like, banging on the window, or are they just, like, kids looking out the window? Again, it
Oh,
could have just
no.
been
That's all
different
they said.
kids.
Yeah, yeah, it could have been.
yeah.
At 1:30 in the morning or 2 in the morning? That's kinda weird. But also
Yeah.
this person was out at 2 in the morning, so why couldn't someone else be?
Yeah. That's another thing, it would've been dark, so it would've been hard to see exactly who it was
Yeah.
anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it just a lot of questions, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that thief who stole the stuff was, like, involved or if that was just completely separate and not related at all. But the timing seems suspicious.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems like a bunch of different people out to get this one family at the same time.
Yeah. Mhm.
The
Yeah.
guy that, like, stole all the stuff and, like, then or, like, the and cut the wire, and then the insurance
Yeah.
guy, and then the mob maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because yeah, people say the fact he was really outspoken. He like I said, spoke out against that dictator, and like people think like the Italian mafia like came after him because of that.
Well, also, was
But
there, like,
then
a lot of Italian immigrants in this town, or it could have been, like, just people are just racist about, like, Italian immigrants in their town when they're not used to, foreigners?
yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like there's. I mean, it's West Virginia. I think that's a pretty racist state. Probably was back then too. Um,
Mhm.
so maybe I don't. That could be that. But again, like I said, a lot of the sources of this talk about how George was very like shady or shifty about why he left Italy. Like he would never really talk about it. So people think like maybe something happened there, and then like it was mafia stuff, and they came and like
Yeah, they
did
followed him
something.
there. Yeah.
But like he was like it wouldn't have been him though, because I looked it up. It says that he immigrated to the U.S. in 1908. He was 13, so it wouldn't have been him according to the math. Like he said, he was
Ooh.
born in like 1895, and then he immigrated in 1908, so he would have been 13. Like he didn't even meet his wife until after he was in the US already. But she was also
Mhm.
another Italian immigrant in the same area. So I think there was like an Italian community where they were. Whatever. So it could have been like his family was involved in some type of mafia thing. I don't know. But because they said he was like really shady or like would avoid it. Like he wouldn't talk about why he left, or maybe he didn't know. I don't know. But would you just say that? I don't know. Like why would you like be shady about it?
Yeah.
You know? Like, if they're like, "Why'd you come here?" I'd be like, "I don't know. My parents just brought me here." Like, that's all you'd have to say. You wouldn't have to be, like, weirdly avoiding it and, like, changing the subject and all that. I don't know. So it's weird.
Yeah, it is
But,
weird.
yeah, so still I don't know really know which way I think. Kinda one of those ones, every time I think one way, it's like there's something that makes me not. But, I mean, it probably, like, I don't know. I kind of lean towards maybe they did just die in the fire,
I don't
but
know, but I
I don't
watched
know, the fact
many
that there's
but
no remains, like, the 5
yeah,
kids and there's not, like, anything,
I've
that's
seen
kinda weird.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen Forensic Files, I watch every day, and there's always arson, right? And they always say if even the fire like, if someone died in this fire, there would be a trace of them somewhere.
But
Yeah.
maybe it's, like, also because it's the '40s. Like
That's what they burn they burn better?
no, but, like,
Really?
they didn't do a thorough search. Like, they don't have all the
Oh,
tools now to even be able to find, like, if they were just ash or, like,
right,
very
so
small, like, bone
maybe
fragments,
there
like
were remains, but they just never found it.
Yeah, because they didn't search good enough.
Yeah, had that shoddy police
yeah,
chief, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't
but,
know.
like, why was he shoddy about it, though? Like, he just trying to cover up their own, like, "Oh, we didn't do a good investigation, and I don't want people to know how bad it was."
Like, there's the
Yeah. I
quicker
feel
you
like it
shut
was Christmas
quicker you
holidays, and he's just like, I'd rather spend the holiday with my family than figure
yeah,
this out."
and I feel like the quicker that you close the case, there's no heat, like,
Yeah.
there's no spotlight on him like, no eyes on him seeing him not do his job, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the case is closed, can, you know, be incompetent somewhere else. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think they died in the fire, but then it's also like, where the hell did they go then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the
It
purpose of
seems more
taking them?
likely that they died in the fire, but then, yeah, there's no remains.
Yeah,
If they didn't, yeah, like, where the hell did they go? If
yeah.
they weren't kidnapped, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah, and,
Weird.
like, there's no reason why they would, like, run away from home. Like,
Yeah,
people
and, like, never
because I
Yeah,
come
was thinking, like, maybe
back.
one of them set the fire and, like, ran away, but why would they do that?
Yeah, well,
yeah,
Like, they were
but
not gonna
that's
do that.
if all 5 of them ran away, it'd be crazy that all 5 of them never contacted their
yeah,
parents again and, like, were never
Yeah.
seen,
yeah,
like, that's kinda weird.
Yeah, and also because there was only those, like, initial sightings from, like, the days after, like, at the hotel and stuff, but there was never sightings, like, later.
yeah,
Like, no one ever came forward, like, 20 years later at all, or, like, even, like, 5 years later or
Mhm,
yeah.
anything.
yeah.
Like, it was only in, like, the immediate but
Like,
the
the kids when they became adults never reached out and
yeah.
never been like, I remember being kidnapped and I'm gonna
But
actually
Mhm.
unless they
Oh,
were
yeah.
kidnapped, but they could have been, like, kidnapped and then, like, killed. at some
Yeah.
point.
Later.
Yeah, but what's the point if there's no ransom or anything? Why keep the kids
Yeah.
at all then? Just kill them, like, just set, like, the fire, like
Maybe both things
the
happened. Maybe it was ransom. The note got burned up because somebody else set the house on fire that night.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
like that
maybe, and then the
thief.
the plane went the plane went to shit. They
Yeah,
set a
like, oh,
ransom
there
fi
goes the ransom note. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
We spent years planning this, and now it's all
Yeah, but
yeah,
worked
and
they
out.
could
somebody
have
else
but
just
then th
happened to
but
burn the
then
house down.
they could have just
Yeah.
sent another note later.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah, could have, I guess.
Like,
They're waiting for a response for years, found out the letter was burned,
Yeah,
like, they
yeah, they
yeah.
didn't even know the house burned
Yeah,
down. They was like, I guess
yeah.
your parents don't care.
And there was people that would, like, thinking because it was Christmas Eve, like, they thought it was, like that was, like, a very, like, personal thing. Like, somebody wanted to do it purposely because it was Christmas Eve, like,
Yeah, the date,
as, like
yeah, it being
yeah.
Christmas Eve is it's just it's very odd to me that I don't know, that's a weird day to do it.
Yeah.
Like, did he
It's just,
think
like, a very
maybe th
intentional
like, they did
day.
chose Christmas Eve because they figured that that's when everyone would be home, so then everyone can get killed? Like,
Yeah.
It makes it, like, a
I don't
little bit
know.
sadder just because, like, the kids would be excited. It's supposed to be, like, a happy
Yeah,
time, and then, yeah, like, the biggest
yeah,
tragedy of their life. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the kids are all they're all dead now, I mean, they would be extremely old right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, like, 80 yeah, the
80 years
youngest was
ago.
2 when it happened, so
Mhm.
the youngest would be
Yeah,
82, but she died in 2021, but
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, and obviously, yeah, like, all the kids, they were kidnapped wherever they were. They're
I
dead
wonder,
now.
did they ever so, like, in that there's a house on that property now, I wonder if they would ever, like there's no one alive now in the family to, like, stress it, but they ever excavate the site or something? I wonder?
That's what I'm thinking, like, would there still be
No.
remains to find? If there was, like, bone
Yeah,
fragments still.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if they wouldn't be, like, buried, would they?
If
Like,
you
all that
build a
stuff
new
would have been
house,
gone.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if that was 80 years ago and they were, like, burned so small that you couldn't hardly find them, and then they're buried
Yeah,
and sat there for 80 years, I feel like, yeah, there's nothing
yeah.
left.
Yeah. And that's what's frustrating too because it's like even if there would be stuff there, like, you have to have someone fighting for that,
Yeah, no, that's
like,
what I mean
pushing
now,
for that.
there's no one there unless they all have there's grandkids and grandkids now maybe, but there's no
Yeah,
immediate
I think, like,
family
the
to
grandkids might be,
I was gonna say there's no
like
grandkids because they're all oh, never mind. Yeah, no grandkids of missing kids, but
yeah, and great-grandkids probably now at this point.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they could they could I don't know, it's very mysterious, I don't
it is. Yeah, it's
And what do
very
you think
weird.
that, like, that letter like, do you think that was just some random creep who was just not related at all? Just wanted to
Yeah.
because
I mean, I
that
feel
was
like if it
weird.
was someone like, make your point clear. Like, I feel like it
Yeah,
was someone just fucking with them because what just write
yeah,
a
because
bunch of
they
random
had
stuff.
yeah, they had no information that they had no actual information, so
Yeah,
I would just
someone just
vote
being
back
an
def
idiot.
I would've just, like, vote back "the fuck?" Question mark?
The hell? The hell's going on here? Like
Yeah.
Please write back. Like, "PS, what the hell's going on here?"
Right back soon.
Yeah. Can we talk again? Chat soon.
Chat soon.
Oh my god. Ugh.
It's such a stupid thing to say, like, what the hell does numbers mean?
Yeah.
Like, the hell I'm like, "Okay." Just, like, throw it up and throw it away and on about my life because I have no idea what that means.
I know.
You know
Yeah,
what I
it
mean?
means
Like,
nothing.
how's
Yeah.
that like,
What's the point?
how's
That's
he
just
supposed
it's like, what's the point
Yeah,
of that?
like, say something useful.
Probably, like, some sick person who wants them to spend hours trying to figure out what it is, even though it's just probably just a random numbers.
Yeah.
Some loser.
I know. Stupid.
And, like, they never mentioned anything about, like, that those numbers had any type of significance to
Yeah.
them. Like, they never said,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I know it had to be, like, them because
Yeah.
that was a very
That
specific."
was a code to
Y
something.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, like,
Yeah, like,
never
literally meant nothing to nobody, so
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay." I
Yeah.
would have vote back.
So
I think you got the wrong person.
yeah.
Ugh.
Like, if it was, like, numbers of, like, a certain significance and, I'd be like, "Okay, now I'm listening," but
Yeah, or like a license plate, but, like, those numbers don't even
yeah.
match, like, they're not even license plate
Yeah.
It's just
I
like,
don't know. Yeah.
I thought it could be like a postal code or a zip code, but it's too
yeah,
long for that.
Mhm.
very weird.
And also the person, if it was a zip code, didn't know the zip code because they're like 32 or 35. They really
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know. Or
Yeah.
35. I don't
weird.
know if that means 35 or
Yeah,
35. I
and
don't
why
know.
not say, "This is the license plate I saw," or this, like, why
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't put random
yeah,
numbers. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
stupid.
It's
Yes.
just yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that's the case of the Sodder children. It's a mystery.
crazy.
Crazy, crazy.
I said it will never get solved. So
No. Very unlikely. In the some people like mine's already is solved. They died in the fire, that's it.
yeah,
End of story.
mhm.
But
Yeah, I mean, that could be
so
it.
maybe there is no mystery to be uncovered here. Like that's the thing is like
Yeah.
you don't know, right? Like other cases where it's like people go missing, but you know they were kidnapped or you know something happened, but you just don't know what. Whereas it's like you don't even know if they're kidnapped. So it's like any type of investigation into that could just be completely irrelevant. But you don't know.
Just like all the coincidence about like the threatening of the fire. It's like I don't know. You always hear police say like I don't believe in coincidences in cases. It's like
Yeah.
I start to feel that way. Like I don't. There is no coincidences. It's this. They happen for a reason. Like
Especially
it's
that
all
many coincidences.
yeah. Like I don't think it's a coincidence. I think
Mhm.
one of
Yeah.
them has something to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the guy threatened that their house is gonna be burned down, and
Yeah.
then 2 weeks later the
Someone else
the
burned it down. He's like,
wiring
damn.
causes
Yeah.
but if it was like an accident though, I'm thinking like, oh, the wiring just happened to be faulty 2 weeks later after he
Yeah.
says that? Even though they
Yeah,
got it
that's
Yeah.
checked
weird.
and it was fine? Like, I don't know, yeah. And like the thief who like that might just be
Yeah.
a coincidence, but happened to be there
Yeah.
stealing stuff at the same time these other people are there kidnapping kids and setting
Yeah.
fires, like, that's weird.
This case
That's why
reminds
I
me of,
think
like, another it was, like, a more recent one where it was, like, 2 kids were at staying the night at someone's house, and the house burnt down, and they never found the
Oh
kids,
yeah. Hmm.
but they never found any remains either, but there's no
Yeah.
evidence that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were taken. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's another weird one.
oh,
Yes.
that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
History repeats itself.
Yep.
Hmm.
That's crazy. Crazy. But yeah, that's the case of the Sodder children, so it's gonna bother me for a while. Like, now that
Yeah.
I know all this
Yeah.
information, it's like, I need to know, but you'll never know, or
Yeah.
we'll never know probably.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Any, I guess, final thoughts or ultimately, what do you think
Uh,
if you had to pick?
like what do I think happened?
Yeah, like if you had to pick one theory.
Um, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they were on the top floor, so kind of makes sense that they wouldn't couldn't get out. But
Mhm.
them not even trying to get out, no yell like that doesn't make sense at all. Unless they were sleeping and they like, got smoke inhalation and they didn't even wake up. I don't know,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Or like someone climbed up with the ladder, took the kids from the window. I don't know, like, but they didn't, and then they do the ladder away with the kids and set the house on fire or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
But all 5 kids, that's a like,
Yeah,
this is crazy enough to steal
unless he
1
literally
kid.
unless he dressed up as Santa literally and came up
Yeah.
and
Or it could have been
then
like, but it also could have been multiple people.
yeah,
Like if it was like the mafia, could have been like 4 people, 5 people, 1 per kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Never
feel like
know.
like they used the ladder because why throw it? Like they used the ladder and then they threw it. Like someone used the ladder
Yeah, but
Mhm.
that guy said
and
But
then
he
they
and the
threw it in the
police
admitted to
house.
throwing
assumed
it in the ditch.
well, no,
All
I think
right.
he admitted to cutting the phone line, but then it was like, yeah. Then it was assumed by the police that he used the ladder to do that. But I don't know if he
Oh, I
actually
Because
see.
said he did. But
if someone is planning on killing them all, why would you even think of the ladder? You're not gonna think anyone's gonna use it. They're gonna be dead.
yeah.
So, like, I think, like, I saw someone used the ladder to get up there, and then they threw it away. I don't know.
Yeah.
But why throw it
But
away?
then
I
this
don't know.
other guy randomly is cutting the phone lines around the same time, separate from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Like,
like, all these things, like, separately happening is a little bit weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
don't know. What do you think happened, Katie?
I don't know, I'm kinda leaning towards They died in the fire, and they
Yeah.
just couldn't
Mm,
find their remains because they didn't search well
Yeah.
enough.
mhm. Yeah.
But all the
Yeah.
stuff that happened surrounding it is
Yeah.
such a coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't
Crazy.
know. Yeah. I'm
That
not
would just be, like,
100% that they
wild
died in the fire.
coincidence.
I would say, like, 70-30 died in fire.
Yeah. So
But also,
yeah.
even if it was a fire and they died in it, it still could have been someone set it, not that it was accidental.
Yeah. I don't think it was accidental at all.
Yeah, I think those fireballs were real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, yeah, it was
Or
probably
like
still some, like, organized thing where they wanted to set the house on fire, but, like and the kids just died. They weren't, like, then kidnapped separately
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
or additionally.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird one.
It is.
It is.
All right. Well, on that note, that's our coverage of the Sodder Children case. So I mean, it's kind of depressing to say have a wonderful
Yeah,
Christmas
merry
Eve,
on that note,
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Check your wires. Check your wiring.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, that does it for our coverage of the Sodder Children mystery, and we hope you enjoyed listening to the coverage. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, you can follow us on all the social medias: Crime Family Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And you can email us crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com if you have case suggestions or just want to tell us what you think of the podcast or theories about this case or anything like that. We'd love to hear that. And wherever you get your podcast, you can follow us. So you can watch the video versions on YouTube and Spotify. It's just the audio versions on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. But if you want to watch the video, it's either Spotify or YouTube. So until then, take care, and we'll see you next week with a new episode. Happy holidays. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.